dive right into it. So great job by Matt. I got a chance to catch the last kind of piece of it. Looking forward to doing this for you and just kind of rocking and rolling. So ton of information to go through right now. I'm super excited to share with you. It's called the AI Multiplier Method. So I wanted to give you something that's totally insightful that will probably change the way that you think about what's possible, not only for you, yourself, your family, your life, but at the same time, give you something tactical to walk away that as soon as you walk away from my presentation, you can immediately apply it. So let's get rolling because we got a lot to cover. So I'm going to go through why now, what's possible, the master prompt method that you could use immediately, and then the AI multiplier method, and then what's next in the future. So going to pack a lot into this 30 minutes. I think you'll be excited. Okay. So for some reason, Jenny, quick question. For some reason, this isn't building out my slides. Is there any way that I could do that so that they build out versus just all the way show up? It's okay if it does not. If it's
I'm sorry, I don't know if we can do that.
Oh, so many great animations. Okay. So anyways, I'll just roll with it because that's the way I roll. So anyways, what we have here is I want to show you why now. So on the left side, you're going to see the risk. On the right side, you're going to see the opportunity. And so effectively, if you look at it, Goldman Sachs predicting 300 million jobs will be lost or degraded by artificial intelligence. Sounds pretty extreme when you look at that. However, it's a reality, right? On top of it, too, sales leaders automating 37%. Could see them automating one role. The other stat that I did not include in here is there's another 38% that say that they could think they'll be able to automate a role soon. So on top of it, if you look at the other stats on the right, the opportunity, and this is where I get excited, the top 5% get multiples better, and the top 37% get 20 to 40% better. So if you're a top performer, or if you're in the top 37%, there's massive opportunity upside. And I'm still a believer, even if you're just starting off or just getting rolling, you can easily ramp up way faster in a fraction of the time while augmenting your results as well. So on top of it too, what you're seeing is 3/4 of response expect Gen AI will disrupt their competitors. And then this part in green that's highlighted on the lower right, something really interesting is that a lot of folks are looking at this as transformational. And this sounds crazy saying this out loud, so please don't spam me in the comments or anything like that. I am monitoring it here. But it's going to be as impactful as basically fire, invention of agriculture, industrial revolution, or the invention of computers. It can have that big of an effect. And I think part of the reason why is because what's happening is there's effectively sometimes 8 years of innovation that's happening in 4 months. So I'm sure you're seeing this. I'm not going to go through the hype train, but there's two ways that we can look at this. We can look at this as a place of fear, or we can look at it as a place of faith, right? And these are real feedback that I've heard from folks of both sides of the coin, right? And so, skills will be obsolete. You'll need to work longer hours to tread water. Law and track record doesn't matter. The job that you love may not exist. And then on the positive side, right, these are new opportunities that you haven't even thought of. You can adapt and still provide value. And then on top of it too, the one at the bottom, I really, really like that my institutional knowledge will be an asset during this transition. So if you have any level of domain expertise across sales, marketing, or any other related fields, like you could massively take advantage of this, because one of the things that the AI models, which I'm going to get into specifics with, struggle with is domain expertise in certain areas. So if you layer that on top of the accelerated ability of them, amazing things could happen. And I'm going to show you some real world examples of that. Okay. And so this is where I'm a little bummed about the formatting, because I was going to build this out. It was going to be super cool in terms of that. But I wanted to give you sorry about that. I wanted to give you a little math equation. And so if we look at the math equation, what you're going to see is effectively the folks on the left are looking at, okay, if we had 8 people, and going back to the original stat by the MIT study, where the top 5% get multiples better and the top 37% get 20 to 40% better, what you're going to see is the top sales reps typically account for 40% of revenue. And just ignore the right side, right? Ignore the right side. The next 3 reps maybe account for another 40% in revenue, and then bottom 4, 20%. I'm doing sales because it's tactical and it's very, very focused on tangible outcomes, so it's easy to identify. That would break you to 100% of quota, which brings $4 million in revenue. If you look to the right, that's applying the actual tangible uplift that folks are considering or projecting that AI could have on these different roles. So as you can see, when you look at revenue within, by itself, there's a 154% increase. And on top of it too, you're going to be able to turn C players into B players into A, and A players into A+ players. So you're probably thinking, all right, Ryan, how do I actuate this? All right. How do I make this a reality? So, and by the way, if you got comments, pop them in the comments or any feedback. I'm usually pretty good at integrating those into the conversation as we go along if you have comments or questions, but I'm going to try and do my best because we got a lot to cover. All right. So quick breath here. So here's what's possible. And I really wanted to show you this because these are 3 areas that I saw were massive opportunities that reframed entirely what I thought was possible. And so I'm going to walk you through these 3 examples at a high level, and then I'm going to tactically walk you through how to make these a reality for you. Not these exact examples, but other examples. Okay. So we look at example 1, one of the things that I did is I wanted to test AI to see how good it was at something I had deep domain expertise in, right? Something that I worked on over the years and that was within my specialty or in my wheelhouse. So if you look at the first one, like how to sell or market to any C-level executive in less than 2 minutes, what I did is I really, really looked at and asked questions around that domain expertise, and I was blown away by the results. So this was, and I'm going to walk through this one specifically, so I'll show you, I'm not going to go much deeper on this, but it basically broke down decades of experience with answers in a couple minutes if I just asked it the right question. Okay. And that's how crazy it is. Now, if we pop into the middle one of the things that was interesting as well is, I'm going to break down this example, is how to create a day's worth of work in minutes. So I looked at a more complicated workflow of like, how can I do this if I had a job, like Matt was just talking, job to be done, right? As a sales leader or as a CEO, and how can I put this together? And so I'll walk you through step by step on how to do this. And this third one, which was pretty wild, I took a video from Mr. Beast, layered 3 plugins on for ChatGPT, gave it one command, and effectively what it did is it leveraged skills that I didn't have the capacity to do, like create a guide, video, diagram, and summary with just one statement of expectation. Okay. And so that's where this starts to get really, really powerful. And so I wanted to just frame that up for you because most of the time when I get asked on like, hey, Ryan, where do I begin? What's the opportunity? A big reason why people don't understand that is because they don't really know what's possible. And so I wanted to share that with you today. All right, next one. And this is the one I'm bummed. This was a cool slide I had that basically got destroyed because I couldn't do the animations. But what you'll see is the slide on the left. This is probably what you're feeling. The slide on the left is like basically an eye chart of companies that effectively are getting, all the funding announcements, all the money that's going into AI, right? And then on social media, what you're seeing is like all the AI tools in that kind of color wheel. And then this is what you kind of feel like. You're just getting tools blasted and dumped onto you. And as a result, to try and like keep up with it, you feel like you're drowning, right? I thought this meme was pretty freaking funny. I don't know if you do as well, but if you do, pop it in the chat. I thought it was awesome. All right. So where to start? Let's go from left to right here. Okay. So there's some really, really cool things. And what I'm trying to show you is like, there's some amazing tools out there. However, there's a massive amount of opportunity that's available to everyone for free to leverage this in the sales or marketing area to grow revenue. And so if you look at the 2 on the left, we got ChatGPT and then we got Claude 2. Everybody's heard of ChatGPT. Claude 2 is just recently released a couple of weeks ago, that version. And here's what I would say is language and creativity. These are the 2 best tools that I've seen when working with them in terms of the results they've created. Something really cool about Claude from Anthropic is effectively it's a large language model that has more extensive capabilities than ChatGPT in terms of the volume. Like you could upload massive documents and have it summarized. And then on top of it too, it has some really good in touch areas with emotional feelings of how people like really feel. And the way it described it, I was pretty much blown away. So yeah, I mean, Claude's really good for uploading files. So those are 2 areas that I see. And then something that I became aware of more recently is Poe.ai. Can you drop in the chat as well if you've used Poe.ai at all? P-O-E, not P-O, Poe. Really, really cool with this one is it's actually almost like a consolidation of ChatGPT and Claude 2. And it's also got chatbots in there that you could either create or leverage that are already in place. And so very hyper, I mean, it's very powerful from that aspect. There's also an iPhone app. And so that's something that I would recommend if you want more of like an aggregator. And then if we're looking for more real-time research, we got these three that I would focus on. Bing, right, by Microsoft, which actually powers ChatGPT. On top of it, too, we have Bard, and then we have Perplexity.ai. So Claude and ChatGPT aren't trained as up to recent as these other ones are. You could do real-time capabilities with basically websites and other areas, really good for real-time research. So we're looking at these. This is kind of like how you decide what tool to pick or select. And then if you look at it, the beautiful thing about this entire page is every single one of these tools is free, right? And that's really, really critical because if you look at it, 80 to 85% of the tools that are coming out with AI or Chrome extensions are built on top of these different large language models. All right. So moving forward, let's go through the master prompt method. I want to make sure I'm staying on track. Okay, so this is a little like kind of cheat sheet. You can screenshot it, do whatever you need to do to really, really leverage this in the large language model so you could actuate it for your job, whether it be for you, your team, or your organization. So the way I kind of look at this is these are 5 different tools in the tool belt that you could leverage. However, you don't need to use all of them at the same time, right? So if you look at it, context, you could trim that down to identifying a specific person. And this could be someone like Elon Musk. This could be Steve Jobs. This could be whoever you could think of that's very, very well known, has deep expertise in the domain that you're looking to understand. Or you could ask for someone that also has basically the experience level. Okay, so this could be like if you're looking at a chief marketing officer with 30 years experience that specializes in copywriting and demand gen, you could have that be the frame of reference. Then you integrate frameworks. And so it could be like IDA, which is a copywriting framework, MEDIC, Pareto's principle as well, which is the 80-20 rule. Then you go into the level, right? So that's almost like the learning level. And that could be like a 12-year-old, a newbie, a non-technical person. Size could be number of words and restrictions, emails, paragraphs. And then structure, that could be either tabular format, bullet points, tweets, or executive summary. So the awesome thing about this is you can mix and match this and use it in whatever way, shape, and form that you want. And you'll be blown away by the results, okay? At least I was when I used it, and I think you will be as well. So moving on. So I want to go through what's called the AI Multiplier Method. And so this gets more into the tactical component right after the master prompt method. And effectively, what we're looking to do is look at what the capabilities are in terms of how we could leverage AI specifically for the jobs that we're doing on a day-to-day basis. So once again, building off the previous speaker, like it's good to do parlor tricks or carnival tricks with AI and have it do amazing things. However, what we're really looking for is like, how do we make this a reality and make our lives better? And so I broke it down into these 5 buckets: time, execution, acumen, money, and skills. And effectively, I broke it down into that TEAMS acronym because of the fact that if you leverage this effectively, you have teams working for you in these areas. Okay. And so I'm going to break down each individual one of these with examples in terms of how to do it, and then you could crush it. No problem. I appreciate the compliment in the chat. Okay. So let's go through time. All right. So there's a micro time, and there's macro. If you look at the top, micro is more something like account research. So this is if you're a sales rep, or even if you're a sales leader, you need to bounce into an opportunity or you have a first appointment. You want it nailed down. That could trim like a 15-minute task into 1 to 2 minutes or 20-minute task. And then macro is something more on the marketing side, which let's use this example, create a content plan, create a LinkedIn post, 10 tweets, and a blog post. Okay, how can we do that in 15 minutes? And here's what I would tell you, and I caution everybody. AI is really good to the point, and the better you get at prompting, the more you could take the results as is. However, if you're not like very seasoned in this, definitely look it over. It'll get you 80 to 90% of the way there, which will massively cut off time. And then, that way there won't be weird mistakes or hallucinations that you'll see in there as well. All right, so let's go through time. Okay, this might be a little harder to see, but I'm going to blow it up. So basically with this is the marketing magic. So if you see the prompt at the top left corner on the top left, it basically identifies really, once again, it's leveraging a master prompt method that I mentioned. You're a copywriter, expert in creating content calendars, right? I put a tone of voice in there, snarky, and then create a content calendar for 1 month using long tail keywords, and then have 2 blog posts scheduled for each week. So as you can see on the left side, I built these out. This was designed around promoting live events on LinkedIn. So what you'll see here is it busted out those different examples of what would be ideal blog post titles. Okay. And then if you look over on the right, I put, please write a listicle post for LinkedIn with the following titles. So all I did was take title number 1, popped it in, asked it to write a listicle for that. And this is what it created. Okay. This is a strong post. The other thing is you could talk to it and ask it to act like your favorite LinkedIn influencer. If you have one, it'd be great if it was someone that would be on this event, or someone whose content you appreciate, right? And then effectively it'll write in their voice or in their style as well. So that's another little trick. So, okay, so now we got the titles. We got effectively an example of a LinkedIn post. And the good thing about it is once you have that prompt in there with the listicle, you can keep popping these titles in, and it'll belt off all these different posts for these titles that you have in your content calendar. All right, next sheet. So continue. Please create a tweet with each bullet point and use emojis where appropriate, right? So here's an example. I think they over-emojied on here when you look at ChatGPT. However, the good thing about it is you can edit and refine it, whether it be ChatGPT, Claude, or any other language model. And then on the last one, what you'll see is this is I'm leveraging the same framework that I did initially. However, it's designed more around the blog post, if you will. Okay, so effectively what this is doing is I took the title and then just had to create an entire blog post from it. All right. So that's that side of it for time. Now we're going to go into execution. All right. And I'm going to run through this real fast. I'm looking at my clock. I want to stay on time. So if we're looking at execution, there's a couple ways that I see execution outside of agents, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later. We have tool stacking and output command, right? And then we have prompt stacking. So think of tool stacking as kind of what I talked to you about when I took a piece of Mr. Beast content, I created it into my own video, I created it into additional content, and then on top of it, a guide and a summary, right? So one command, you can leverage 3 plugins to do that. There's other ways to string together tools like through Zapier or other integration tools like that. So that's more wide, basically assigning different tools to act for you and then execute, right? The other one, which we're going to go over today because it's much simpler, is prompt stacking. Prompt stacking, I did multiple posts on this. They got 300,000 views in some cases on LinkedIn, but the 20-minute sales org, the 20-minute marketing org, the 20-minute startup. And these are really deep, right? So this is like creating and building more of a complex setup for an organization or a department. And this is just sticking in like one functional area. So the other is multiple areas or tools. This is going, vertically, if you will. So with the sales org, which I'm going to walk you through, is like how to build a sales org in 20 minutes, the comp plan, the KPIs and management, tools on a budget of less than $1,500 a month, and then how to hire a team. Okay, so those are the areas that this consists of. I'm going to switch over. So if you look at, I started with a compensation plan. So as you can see at the top, some really key areas that you focused on, or that I focused on in here, where the number of sales reps that I had on my team, and you can do this with marketing, you can do this product, you can do this ops, it doesn't matter how many people on your team. I have a team budget to add 2.5 million in the next 12 months. And then I asked what kind of compensation plan would best motivate them so that 80% of it hit, right? 80% of it hit. And then basically 125% of our quota was hit. So at least 80% was hit per person, or 80% of the team did. And then of that 125% overall. Okay, so this did a pretty good job, I would say, the first time. And there's some things that I went through, as you see, like it's not perfect, but what I did is at the top, I then asked what KPIs would I set up and track the team for daily, weekly, monthly, and quarterly goals in an annual basis for the comp plan above. So you can do the same thing, whether you're talking demand gen, content, whatever. These are areas that take off massive amounts of time quickly. Okay. This one is too, if like you take it to the next phase, one of the things that I realized when I looked at the data is I wasn't really blown away because it wasn't as accurate as I wanted. And so one of the things I did to give it more context, and this is what's awesome about going deep, you don't need to rewrite the entire thing from scratch. You could say, please rewrite it with these additional details. So in this situation, what I did is I'm like, all right, let's assume the sales cycle is 3 months long and the average deal size is $30,000. Our close rate is, I think that's 15%. I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see that. But as a result, this is what it spit out. So it was way better the second time once I gave it that additional context. So I'm like, all right, we're rolling. Let's keep going. So as we did that, then what you're going to see is then I broke it down into weekly, monthly management cadence, which busted this out, right? And then if you're looking, I had to basically ask for what tools they would recommend, what kind of tech stack. And then with a budget of $1,500 on the right, you know, with a team of 4, you know, what would you get? And the really cool thing is, as you see with this over the top of it, it basically says that the estimated cost would be $236. So it tried to beat the budget that I had, which was pretty wild. And the recommendations were pretty solid, you know? So this was something that was really cool. And then last but not least, I asked it to hire a performer. Like I wanted to add to the team and I needed a job description. And I'm like, okay, put it in the voice of this company and have it inspiring and integrate the comp plan into it. So once again, I didn't need to keep rewriting this. I just stacked those and went deep on it, which enabled me to kick this out literally when I was on a plane ride and I was trying to effectively like see if I could knock this out in 20 minutes. So anyways, that's one of the really, really cool things that you could leverage. Okay. So, and by the way, I had to jump out. So I'm just catching up on the comments right now. I don't have all of them, but I'm keeping up as we kind of go through it. So anyways, I will try to integrate that. Some really good, yeah, interesting, Scott. All right, let's keep rolling. So I want to make sure we hit up on time. We got about 9 minutes left, it looks like. So Acumen's the next one. So this is the one that I tested about like, okay, how good is this machine at what I actually really know at a deep level? You know, I have over, I think it's 25 years of experience, had every single sales job, grew a business unit from 0 to 30 million with only 4 sales reps. So I'm like, okay, let me ask you like what I know from that experience. It was really good. So if you look at the top left corner, what it does is highlights like, okay, how are my buyers being compensated from a KPI perspective? Because that's one of the key drivers is like, how are they motivated at work? And so I asked that question is like, what are the top, you know, KPIs that this, let's say a CFO, an example, would be compensated at a publicly traded company? Okay. Then I asked, what are their 5 biggest challenges in hitting that role? Okay. And last but not least, I said, okay, what are the emotional challenges that these problems cause? Right. It was really good. Like the verbiage, the copy, it was absolutely amazing. So this is another example of prompt stacking. With this one where I'm using emotions, it might be a good opportunity to test this with Claude too. I did a side-by-side example and I liked the emotional responses that Claude had when it came to this. It was kind of funny because it even tried to give the AI a little personality. It's like, okay, deep gasp. Okay, what are the emotions? What are the challenges? So it's pretty entertaining. All right, so money. Let's shift to money. So we had time, we had execution, we had acumen. Now we're on money. So we're hitting the home stretch here. There's 2 ways. I mentioned there's a couple of ways where you can basically arbitrage your spend on what you're doing. And by leveraging these large language models and incorporating the components that I mentioned, you would probably need to spend hundreds and hundreds, maybe $300, $400, $500 of all these different tools to get that. Now, I'm not saying there aren't really good tools, and I'm going to show you an example of one on the next slide. There's a lot of amazing tools that I use outside of the large language models. However, if you just know the core basics, all these companies are trying to leverage this very fast and basically grow. And so that's effectively what we're trying to do there. So you could leverage that. Scott, I don't know if they're giving away the slides or not. I mean, that's a good sign though. I think that means you like my slides. So I appreciate that, man. So anyways, if we look at it, there's also gonna be a free giveaway I have for you to leverage a lot of this so that you can take advantage as well. Just give me a heads up. Okay, the other side, and I'm not an affiliate for video AI or anything like that, but basically for repurposing, let's say, marketing clips for my podcast, which is called The Scale Up Show, I'll basically do a video interview and then a podcast, and then I'll repurpose the clips. I looked at it, and agencies were costing about $600 a month, and I would get the slides back in 48 hours. Now, I looked at a tool like Video AI. I could upload it, get it done in 15 minutes, and then it only costs $50 per month. Okay, so when people say jobs aren't going away, this is where I push back, because like I see a lot of solutions that are created that were previously done by agencies, are previously done by entry-level employees, or even mid-level employees that required a unique skill set for execution, that there's tools like these. And it's not like the quality sucks on Video AI. It's really, really good. I tested it, and it's just as good, if not better, than some of the agency. And so that's one of the things I just wanted to call out there, of why, if you're watching this, I hope this inspires you for action so that you don't miss your opportunity to level up. Okay. Last but not least is skills. Okay. So if you look at this graphics on the left, that picture, so I stink at graphics, right? I am not a good graphics person at all. I created this visual in 15 minutes in Midjourney, right? 15 minutes is what I did to create this. Okay. I couldn't do that before, right? So what this does is this will give you skills you don't have. You don't want to take the time to learn how to do, as long as you find the right kind of cluster of different opportunities. And so what I did is I put examples below each one. If you look at like voice to music or voice to audio, you have this as well, which is really cool. And then even like speech key can create audiobooks from text as well. Take it to video. I mean, you could type in text to video with like Runway, DID, HeyGen, or Synthesia. And the really cool thing is, like, why anybody could do this is because it's just text to graphics, voice, video. All right. So we are hitting the home stretch, almost done. This is where the future is that I see, because I know there's only a few minutes left. So there's two big areas that I see the future going to that make sense for you to understand what's happening now. So there's agents with automated outcomes. I heard some of the earlier speakers talking about that today. Is like, you don't want to just carpet bomb someone with just tons of agents or basically AI hitting it up, because it's just going to aggravate people, right? So I think, however, there's opportunities where this part of the whole AI puzzle is starting to get refined and figure out for different vertical functions. And this is like Agent Smith from the Matrix. How many people love Agent, the whole Matrix thing? I thought it was pretty cool. So that's one thing. So I would definitely look into how agents are affecting your field, your line of work, what's happening, what's possible there. And then the next one, and this is what really blew me away. This came out a couple of weeks ago, maybe it was a week ago from the time of this presentation, is MetaGPT. And so this is a multi-agent framework. And if you can't see this, I'll try to blow it up for you. I'll just read it. So basically what this did is, it's a open source code where a software company was created, and it basically has a boss. It has a product manager, an architect, a project manager, an engineer, and a Q&A, okay? Or QA, I should, quality assurance. So effectively what they did is create an entire department, and all you need to do is type in a couple sentences and give it really minor instructions, and basically it'll create a software product for you. All right. So I'm just like scratching the surface of what's there, but I wanted to like give you as much information as possible in terms of what happened, what's coming down the pipe. And so if you look at this, to wrap things up in summary, I think the future is now. If you want to take advantage of this, you can. It's not too late. If you haven't looked at it, if you haven't started to try and master it, there's exceptional opportunities on the other side of it if you do. Because even Sam Altman from OpenAI said, hey, listen, there's always going to be a need for people to understand the business use cases of how to leverage AI. Okay, so my view is scale yourself, scale your life, and scale your career, and then you will scale your future. Okay, the opportunity is now. Take advantage of it, because I think, like I said, there are going to be winners and losers with this. You might as well be in control of your destiny instead of having your destiny control you, right? And as a special offer at the end, like I said, I'm going to give you, if you want to take advantage of it, there's a website here that I have, one of the deep vertical prompting that has like the entire outputs from 140 C-level cheat codes with prompts, like how to do it. So you don't even have to do the prompts. I did this all for you, but you'll have the prompts there. It's www.aiforrevenue.com/CC. Click on that. You'll get that. I also share these structures on my weekly newsletter called Superhuman Revenue. And then I interview AI founders on the Scale Up Show. So hope you enjoyed this. And let me know. I think that's pretty much it in terms of the slides. It was awesome presenting to you. And hope to see you soon, or hope to see you on LinkedIn.
Yeah.